Action!
The murders have been described as both a hate and a terror crime. To talk to us about this, the South African LGBTI community, of course, has responded to the event and what more still needs to be done to protect the rights of the LGBTI community. We're joined here in studio by Beverly, who's the filmmaker and director at the Human Rights and LGBTI activist as well. How did you feel?
Terror attacks of any nature do that, I suppose, to me as well.
Yeah.
Is that it takes a while to sink in that there's been a loss of lives, you know? But the fact that the loss of lives were as a result of people's sexual orientation or gender identity and expression.
Why do we have to fight for the right to love who we want to love? This is about time, and today we're making history.
In fact, you were the first African lesbian to address the United Nations at the first, or the fourth, I should say, World Conference on Women in Beijing, China. This was in 1996.
Just because this happened on a mass scale does not mean that it hasn't been happening. This has been consistent.
Yeah.
Attacks on people based on their sexual orientation and gender identity and expression have been going on. They've been going on in the townships of South Africa. They've been going on in the rural areas of South Africa. They've been going on all over the continent. The attacks continue. The brutality continues.
Look at you. You're a black gay activist. It's like we're talking about way different.
So as much as we may claim to have the best constitution in the world, as much as the United Nations has adopted a resolution against violence, and so has the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, it does not necessarily mean that this trickles down to the people on the ground.
I urge you to make this a conference for all women, regardless of their sexual orientation, and to recognize in the platform for action that lesbian rights are women's rights, and that women's rights are universal, inalienable, and indivisible human rights. I urge you to remove the brackets from sexual orientation. Thank you.
That speech was my highest achievement and my saddest moment. While I was on that podium, I knew that I was going to leave Glow. I came back and I was a hero, but inside I felt the opposite.
So if we can't answer it, it's not
she
proper.
challenged us, so tables turned.
If we can't answer it, it's not proper.
Big ups, tables turned. She challenged us.
If we can't answer, it's not a proper question.